G'day fellow fixers and like-minded people, and welcome back to the channel. You probably would have noticed if you follow along that there was no video put out last week, working on the trailer. I did mention that trailer where I was cleaning up the steel and painting it, that there would be a video the following week released. Well, the day after that video, so the Monday in Australia, I got absolutely wiped out with the spicy cough. Corona finally got me. I avoided it for over 2 years. Not really sure how I got it, but basically Monday night I was in the worst pain I've ever been in my life. Hardly slept. Spent the next 7 days basically in isolation, trying to sleep and not really doing that well at sleeping, sort of running on 1 or 2 hours sleep a night. So this is it's 2 weeks this Monday coming that I got it. So I'm still extremely tired from it. So if anyone's watching this and has had it, I feel your pain. Anyone who hasn't had it watching this, try not to get it. By no means have I had it the worst of anybody, because there are people who sadly have lost their life to COVID related illness. There's people who've been very sick, but all in all, it was a pretty bad experience. So apologies for not getting a video out last week. That was the reason for that, and thank you for your patience. The trailer is basically as you saw in that last video. That's how it sits now. So but we've got something here that I was starting to fix, and I thought, you know what, I'll just do a video of it so I can get something out for you guys and put something fresh on the channel. So we've got one of our augers here, which had a starting problem, and I'll run you through now what's happened. So like I said, this is one of our augers, just a basic 2-stroke engine. I'm sure you all would have seen a basic pull start. Any small 2-stroke and 4-stroke engine has one of these, and they sit on top of the engine. When you pull out, you're spinning the top side of the engine, which enables the coil to give spark to the spark plug, and as the piston is running through its cycle, in this case it's 2-stroke cycle, the fuel is ignited, hence the engine will start. So what the symptom was with this is it would pull out, and then basically it would do that and not retract back in again. And I pulled it apart, and the way this retracts back in, for those who don't know, is underneath this spinning piece of plastic there, which holds your rope, there is a spring wound up. So when you pull out, the spring winds up and creates tension in the spring, and then when you let go of the handle, that spring then naturally unwinds itself and winds up this rope holder, hence it pulls back in again. Now when I got this, it was given to me and said it'll pull out, it won't start, and then the rope only goes back in halfway. I took out the spring, I looked at it, and the spring, as far as I could see, was fine. I pulled it a couple of times to halfway, and it would retract. I thought, that's really bizarre. As soon as I pulled it out all the way, it wouldn't go back in again. What I initially thought was the spring was jumping. So the way the spring works is, and I'll show you the spring here. This is the spring in its relaxed, unwound version. So there's a little hook there on my middle finger, if you can see that. And that little hook there at the end of my thumb hooks into this little plastic hook here. So that way, as it turns, it's always connected. And I noticed that it felt like it was slipping, but it was still hooked in there. So then what happened was I had a closer look at how the spring was sitting in here and how the spring is retained. Now, on this side here, in the plastic housing, there is a little loop cut out. I'm hoping that you can see that. At the end of the screwdriver, there's a loop cut out. Now, that is designed to hold the spring, so when it's pulled, the spring isn't able to turn its entirety in there. It's held in place and it simply contracts and then expands again. So what was happening was, when it was being pulled, the whole spring was turning, so it was sort of enough for it to allow the rope to come back in halfway, but then when you pull it out all the way and really wind the spring up, the spring would just skip and miss and end up flying around in there. So what I'm going to do is, it's the weekend, shops are closed at the moment. Here is the end of the spring. As you can see, it's missing its hook. So I want to bend a hook back into this so that I can put it back into that casing. So that's what I'm going to do now. Now we all know that when you heat things, it does naturally make them a little bit weaker. But I think in this case, I'd rather have the spring a touch weaker than have it fragile and snap when I bend it. So let's see how we go here. I'll actually grab another set of these because I can bend properly with the multi-grips. So hold that there. Pencil nose pliers actually give me the ability to put a nice little rounded edge in that. So I hope you can see that. Just let me grab the camera and I'll move it so you can see it. So as you can see there, I've put a nice little loop into it. We'll get that lined up and put it back in again. Alright, so this is the area where it has to go back in again. Like I said, down in here, there's that little hook where I've got to try and get that in. Now, this is not going to be easy. This isn't easy at the best of times doing this stuff. So we'll see how we go. Trying to get this to behave. Actually, I might just do one more trick. Just give me a second. I might just cable tie this together, so I'll pull the I'll pull this a touch tighter. Spring has come out a little bit, but I'm hoping that it'll just be able to sort itself back out again once I get that out of there. So what I want to try and do is feed, without me copying this in the face, this spring. Just feed that through there. I'm hoping that by doing this, so by cable tying that spring in like that across the top, I'm hoping that that'll mean that I can just fiddle around with this a bit more without the risk of it launching itself to the moon. Do it this way, take a bit of tension out of the inside of it by winding it up by hand instead. Okay, that's giving me a fair bit more room to move there rather than fighting it. I can just slot that in. Note for next time. Hope you guys were able to see that. What I just did. Third set of hands would be good. Okay. So I've managed to get that into the groove in there, which I hope you can see. Where's my pointer? Into there. I'm going to cut this strap now and hopefully this resets. I bet it'll come launching out one or the other. Oh, feels good. Okay, there we go. Springs back in again. Let's get this wound back up and we'll give it a test. Alright, so I'm just going to fix up the center bit of this spring because it's a little bit, where I'm holding with the pliers, it's just a little bit too much of an angle, I think. So I'm just going to bring that in a little bit, probably a bit much. That's it. Okay, so now I'm going to wind up this. This is also a little bit damaged, but so the problem is, why I'm missing, when I say missed, is this hook here that's supposed to grab that hook of the spring is too close to the shaft, so it's not grabbing it as it's going past. So I really need this to be closer to the shaft, sort of sit like that almost. I guess I could just open up this spring a touch. I'll just do that. And then maybe just bend that spring in a little bit. Like that. So it sits a bit closer into there, like that. So there we go. Bit of trial and error, as they say. So if anyone watching this has had COVID-19, feel free to comment. I'd love to hear sort of what your symptoms, feelings, oh, I think we're grabbed, symptoms were, how you felt, how long it took you to get over it, because yeah, like I said, I'm pretty tired at the moment, and it would be good to know what I'm in for exactly. Okay. Just noticed that little wire's broken there too. Fix it up properly. Someone will go to start it one day and they'll say, it doesn't start properly. So yep, because the wires are on through. Dead shorts, or shorts to ground, or whatever you want to call it, are one of the most common causes electrically of machines not starting. I don't know why I'm struggling so much with this. I'm going to blame the corona. The COVID fog, as people were referring to. Yeah, it's got it. I knew there was a trick to it. So basically what I did then was pull out, as you saw, the pull rope a little bit, because there's two little spring-loaded arms in there that catch that plastic cog, I guess you'd call it, to enable you, which is when you pull, that it will grip, and then when you let go, it will just ratchet around. So I just allowed it to ratchet so that it could drop on. Don't know if anyone's done that before. There you go. Top tip for the day. If you're wondering why this rope's long, it's always been long. That's one thing I've always wanted to do, was trim it. So the next thing before we do, before I start this, is I'm going to trim that rope down a little bit. Okay. A little bit of heat on the nylon rope just stops it from fraying in the future. Okie dokie. Let's give it a test run. So the primer bubble's not working, so let's have a look at that. Okay, this shows how much I use this particular piece of equipment, but if I look around here, so the reason primer bubble would be suctioned in like that would be that there's a vacuum on the system. Makes sense when the fuel tap's turned off. So if I turn that back on again, let's watch the primer bubble. Hoping you can see it. Ta-da! Okay, so after that lovely brief interlude, let's see how we go. Switches on, chokes up, bit of prime. Oh, kick first go. So, what I'm going to do is make a part 2 of this video, because I haven't really done a carburetor service style video, and I think the reason this isn't running properly is someone's fiddled with the air fuel mixtures on it. It's probably got crap in the carburetor. It wouldn't surprise me if it's had an ethanol fuel through it and it's gunked it up and it needs a clean. I haven't pulled the carburetor off, as you've seen. All I've done is taken the that air strainer cover off. It's not even a filter. For a machine that works in a dusty environment, I don't know why you wouldn't have a paper filter on it and have that screen mesh thing. That's a waste of time. So what I'm going to do is, I think the amount that you just saw me pulling on this, for me, that's done. That's fixed. That pull start system is back to 100%. I would have given that probably 30 to 40 tugs through the course of this video to try and get this thing going. So I'm ticking that off, that's done. So what I will do is, now that I'm back up on deck, about running about 75% at the moment, I'm going to order the paneling for the trailer because I haven't had a chance to do that yet. But the next video I do, which will potentially be tomorrow, I'll get this one up today, so edited today, so that it means it'll go up Sunday, Australian time. I'll make another video on this tomorrow, being Sunday, so it'll probably come up Monday on the carburetor. So I just want to pull that short, make it 2 different videos. That way if anyone searches for it, it's easy to find. You don't have to watch the start of me fixing the rope pull on this. So again guys, thank you for watching. I hope this helped you in something that's broken in your life, and then you could put this sort of methodology of finding, looking and fixing into practice. Any questions, please feel free to ask, and please like and subscribe, makes a difference. Again, thank you to the people who subscribed. It's a great feeling, and it means that obviously I'm doing something that you guys are enjoying, not just me. So stay tuned and keep your eyes open the next couple of days for part 2 of this, which will be the carburetor service. Thanks.